Trent Adair, head girls basketball coach. This is my 11th year, starting my 11th year. My coaching style, the goal of my coaching style is, first thing I want to do is I want to develop a rapport with our players. You know, I think that matters. You know, I've been coached in different ways. I've been coached in an authoritarian style. I've been coached in a more personable style, and I worked under some guys, student teaching, and even in my first job at Ripley, you know, Coach Childers, for example, that taught me a different style. And my goal is to be a little more like him. Try to be as non-noticeable as possible. I don't achieve that goal very much, though. But during a game, I hope people don't have focus on me at all. You know, I want the focus to be on the players. But that's still a work in progress.
Tonight on the handoff, and then when you roll back in, you go to a certain point on this roll, and then for that throwback, you got to take your low side foot, your left foot, stick it between her feet and pin her, and be more physical there so we can get that ball. If they throw it back on that screen and roll, that handoff screen and roll, it's looking to come to you.
Philosophically, you know, basketball, we want to be associated with being fundamentally sound. Knowing that we're going to give consistent effort, we're going to be physical on defense, and we're going to play the full 32 minutes. Is hopefully that's what we want to look like.
Screen,
Basketball is a long season, so as far as keeping the players motivated, we practice-wise, you try to not make it monotonous. But there is a certain element of you want to master the boring, so to speak. I think Point Guard College uses that expression, and that's one we like to steal from them, of doing the same thing over and over and over again and working on execution. You have to be creative and try to put that in different ways, though, because if it's the same thing every day, long season, you will not get the best because kids will not be as attentive. They will tend to minds drift and become bored. And during the season, again, it's just not get too high, not get too low is the main philosophy there, is because there's different phases. You have pre-division play, then you get in division play where stuff matters, and then postseason play. So it's really like 3 seasons within one. So we kind of break it down to try to use that as motivation as well. Some of our highs, you know, well, for example, last season, you know, the lows is early on in the year we really struggled to find our identity, and we were taking some some pretty good defeats in spots, getting roughed up, just really struggling, figuring out a way to win. And it was enjoyable to end up seeing the highs at the end of the year of accomplishing what our group of girls were able to accomplish at the end. You know, that's definitely the high. And unexpectedly, it was one of those years where you never thought that would happen, but going into it, and especially if you saw us play early on in the season, you never would have thought we would have done that. But it kind of fell together at the right time, and kids just persevered and kept on going. They kept working every day and accomplished a tremendous goal. Well, I think the turning point came in division play. I don't know specifically what caused that. You know, if I did, I'd probably write a best-selling book or something. But it's just division play. Our kids started playing better. I think we went and played TCPS, who we thought going in the year were going to be one of our tougher division opponents, if not the toughest. And we went over there and just played really sound, focused game primarily. Just the focus of the kids became different when they knew that, you know, the chips were down, so to speak.
Kaylee, where are you on that? Were you down there in the? Okay, so you crashed. You weren't creeping in. Okay.
Well, for this past off season, it was just improvement. You know, as coach speak as that sounds, the off season is always about the individual. During the season, we want to do what's best for the team, but in the off season, we want to do what's best for the individual because it's about individual development. And you know, 2 seasons ago, we did not have an off season because of, you know, COVID restrictions and that type thing. We were able to do that this summer, and so that's the goal: is can we be individually better first and foremost in the off season. One of the attributes we have is that we have some senior players, and we have a junior player that have played a lot. We have some young players that have some length and some athleticism that are that's really valuable in basketball, and we are excited about some of the young players we have. We have some quickness, I think, that we should be able to utilize. Worry a little bit about our scoring and shooting at times as a team, but that's things we hope we cannot be offset by using that quickness to pressure and create some turnovers. The challenges again is we're trying to bring in some players that don't have experience. Now the blessing in that is that we have several, we have 4 or 5 players that are experienced, but we're still trying to incorporate 2 or 3 that have, we're trying to establish them, get them some experience, and hopefully by Christmas or at least by division time that these kids will be confident and able to step in and play a role.
Boom, now shoulder to shoulder, I come right here. Catch. And if y'all do this right and you seal right, you can work a little bit back to me at an angle, back to the 3-point line. You should catch and be able to just pop this to her. She should be able to pop it to toe. It should have rhythm to it.
Yes, sir.
Well, in the beginning, again, we returned some players that had played a good bit, but we did not think going into the year, like we thought we might be in the conversation to at least compete for a championship, but I don't think anybody ever thought we'd actually win it. And then as like I said, as the division game started playing in January, we started thinking, and you start looking around at the landscape of 1A, you start thinking, well, we have a shot. We're going to play well, we have a shot. We're going to do what we do, but the biggest thing as far as preparation is as far as understanding that role is just communicating it with our players and understanding, expectations. And expectations are a good thing. If people don't expect anything out of you, that's, to me, that's sort of a sad state of being to be in, whether it's a basketball team or even as a person or an employee to wherever you work. I think that's someplace you don't want to be. Expectations are good. So teach them how to embrace expectations, respond to pressure, and, play well under those things.
Again, the deeper we can do this handoff, the better. I know she's screening me. That's why if you're this person, get deep, get the screen, then come off into the handoff. Because the more room we have here, the more room we have for this pick and roll.
Well, when you win a state championship and you got several people returning, the outlook is different, because now you're sort of, last year we went into the season kind of wanting to sneak up on people, and this year there's not going to be any sneaking up. Everybody's wanting to ambush us, so we have a target on our back, and we have several good teams that we would have to beat to accomplish that goal again. Some teams that maybe on paper start the year that people think are probably better than us, but we practice and work every day in preparation for those teams. We have 2 players. Macy Pfeiffer and Katie Beth Hall, who is coming off of a ACL injury. We anticipate having her back the 1st of January. They're going to get a large amount of the attention. People are scouting us. That's who people are going to pay attention to. But I've done this long enough to know that, if we got one player averaging 25 and nobody else in double figures, we're not going to be very good. We've got to have balance, and that doesn't mean that somebody has to, we have to have 3 or 4 having 10 to 15 points a game. If we've got 6 or 8 kids that are somewhere 5 to 7 range, then that's pretty good to throw in with our, more offensive-minded players. Lindsay Dillard, for example, she stepped in last year and played point, got a lot of experience there. She's good defensively, as far as she's very good at drawing offensive fouls. We've got to develop some shooters. We've got some people that we think can grow into those roles, but we'll see.
Good. Throttle down. You go and split her chin. With the make. That's chin, because where she passed.
In girls basketball, if at one time I said it was a race to 50 points, if offensively we can average, 50 plus and push 60, you're going to win a lot of games. And if you can defensively keep people around the 40 mark or lower, especially in 1A girls basketball, there's an opportunity there to win a lot of games and be competitive. So each night we're trying to, that's our goal. Can we keep people 40 and below? And if we do that, we think we'll certainly have a chance to win the game. We come from a basketball-rich county. Union County has, so you'd have to start there. You got to start there with any of your rivals, Of course, us being a county school, and there's always a natural rivalry with the city school, New Albany. I graduated here, played against New Albany. Those were the funnest games to play in, because we considered that a rival. And we got our schools in the county too that we want to win those games, and they want to win them as well. The county tournament, Union County tournament, we still have that, and that's a big deal. We have not won that in 2 years, so I don't know the exact record. I know New Albany beat us. I think us and New Albany, I think we beat them 2 out of 3 times. But the first one, they were coming off of a quarantine and were not in very good shape. So we had a really good game that particular night. But the next 2 were very competitive. They come in here in first round of county tournament and they whipped us. And then I think we went to New Albany last game of the year and beat them at a shot practically at the buzzer with about 2 seconds to go. Beat them 1. So it was a good rivalry last year. When people run scouting reports on us, I hope people think that, you know, when they see Ingomar on the schedule, that solid defense, being fundamentally sound and playing solid D, because that's what we try to hang our hat on. But tough, physical, defend, that's kind of the identity we want to have. You're in for that type of game. You're gonna have to execute on offense because we're sound defensively. Hopefully we can get to the point where we're really good defensively and know that we're going to protect the ball and take good shots and execute on offense.
I want her going on a 45 to the goal, not in geometry, right? I mean, 45-degree angle right here versus start getting up here where it's closer to 60 or 70. That's tight. We don't have enough room to operate.
As a basketball coach, if someone doesn't name Hoosiers, then I can't respect that. I don't know if we can be friends, but if you don't like that movie as a basketball coach, you know, think about changing professions, man. That's because, again, it relates so much to us, you know, our small school, you know, and that may be corny or whatever, but, you know, even, again, I refer back to my childhood watching that movie. You know, instead of Hickory on that uniform, I always put Ingomar. You know, it's when I was in the backyard, I was Jimmy Chitwood, but in an Ingomar jersey.
Why would we want to throw it backwards? I don't know what Coach can do. What can I do? Because I can't get point guards to understand. I can't get a point guard to have an instinct to be a point guard.
Well, I'm a Mississippi State alumnus, so I've been a Mississippi State fan since small. Became one probably early 90s. I believe it might have been 91. I watched Shaquille O'Neal and LSU and Mississippi State playing a televised game. It was in the Hump in Starkville, and Cameron Burns and Greg Carter, and Mississippi State beat them, and I was hooked. You know, I was hooked from that point on. I was a Mississippi State fan. What makes a good high school basketball coach? Flexibility comes to mind, adjustment comes to mind, adaptability comes to mind, because, you know, 1A Ingomar girls basketball, for example, you're not always going to have the same product. You know, we're not like college coaches. College coaches can kind of, I know, you know, when you recruit, you don't get everybody you want, but it's, can you adjust and can you work with what you have, the kids you have, coach the kids that you have. And I think you have to have understanding too. It's fine to want to win 25 games every year or whatnot, but that may not be, you know, what the group of kids you have can do. You know, if 15 is their max goal and we can reach that, that's a success. You know, and I think that's a good high school coach. If they play hard, they act correctly. You know, I can go watch somebody and I can leave thinking that, you know, that person is a pretty good high school coach, just by the product of how they play on the court, not necessarily just results.
When she's coming full speed right here, which again, we talked about not doing this. Because if I'm throwing her, there's nothing but bad things fixing to happen right here. She's fixing to kick it out of bounds, or she's fixing to try to catch it and then get her feet right and walk.
Well, game day means it's time for the test, you know, the hay's in the barn. It's time to see if, you know, what the things you've been working on are going to be effective, if we have retention of what we try to teach. Are we going to be able to apply that in a game? As far as for the kids, you know, they just play, man. They're excited. They're bouncing around everywhere. Game day for me usually means stomach's rumbling and I'm nervous, you know, those type of things that a coach goes through. Because I think about everything that could go wrong, and they just think about playing, and that's good, man. I miss that. You know, that's what makes it hard for coaching. Is just such a different angle, you know. But it's fun around here, you know, and kids love it, so it's exciting.
Play and running. Play and running. Play and running.
My favorite part of coaching is practice. Go into practice every day.
You cut when she reverses the ball, not when you throw it to Quinshayla. Please, go do it again and run that very action.
I mean, that's because that's where the work's done. You know, like I said, when you play the games are way more nerve-wracking on me than anything. You know, sometimes I even don't dread games, but I get so wound up that it's not as fun as it should be, and that's on me. You know, I'm constantly trying to work on that myself in my personal life of just relax and have a little more fun, you know, and be a little more laid back and enjoy watching the game and enjoy the journey of a season instead of getting to the end and just being relieved because you're finally free of stress, you know. That's one of my goals as far as for this season is to enjoy the kids, because I don't get so consumed in my selfish nervousness or whatever it is that I don't enjoy them and I don't give them their proper due. Each goal, each year, you want to try to win a championship. I mean, that's a goal. I mean, that doesn't necessarily would make us a failure if we don't obtain that. I mean, if we're the best version of 21, 22 Ingomar girls basketball and it's not a championship, then so be it. I mean, I can sleep at night and be fine with that as long as we feel like that we put our best foot forward, we left it on the floor, and there's no regrets.